Good afternoon, technical delegates of the FIVB, all the technical delegates involved in the Volleyball Nations League. It's good afternoon from Lausanne. Maybe it's good morning or good night, depending on wherever you are in the world. Thanks for attending our webinar. It is the session 2, dedicated to the technical delegates. I think that just by itself, the webinar is a new element in the way we communicate to you. It shows the spirit of change that we are proposing to volleyball and to the federation in general so that we can move forward with the sport. I would like to start this session today maybe with a small comparison and a bit of history. The comparison is with another sport. It's a small comparison with basketball. And the history is for us to think about it and see how we can learn from somebody else's experience. I'm referring to the experience of the NBA. And we have been using NBA not as a benchmark, but as an inspirational element for everything we're doing in the VNL. The historical element here is, like all sports events, and like all sports organizations, there is one day when everything starts. There is one day where you are founding or creating a new competition, or you are creating a new organization, a new structure. In the case of the NBA, they started by merging two organizations in the mid-40s. And they had 17 teams when they started in the mid-40s. So basically something around almost 80 years ago. And a few years later, they were down to 8 teams. They almost went bankrupt. They only had 8 teams in their organization. But then the NBA decided something very critical for their future. They changed the way the sport was presented to the fans. So they made changes in the rule that allowed them to make the product again have appeal to the fans, so that the fans started to flow back to the arenas to watch basketball at that time. And from the mid-50s, from 1955, when they did that change, establishing 24 seconds for the team to complete its attack, they really completely changed the history of the sport and their own history. Why am I referring to the NBA, as I said, as a reference? Why the NBA could inspire us? Because we are now launching the Volleyball Nations League with 32 teams, which is roughly the number of teams that the NBA has today, 30 men's teams. That's the product. They have a competition with 30 men's teams. We have 2 competitions that are the same format, same number of teams, same prize money, and we are involving 16 men's teams, 16 women's teams. So we have a product that, if we do the right thing, I believe that we can grow immensely the value of volleyball and the value of the Volleyball Nations League, and we also will grow the value of our organization. And this will benefit volleyball everywhere, and this will benefit volleyball competitions everywhere, because when you have a sport that has a very strong event that can inspire fans to see your sport, that attraction, that appeal will have an impact also on a worldwide basis in the sport. So that's the reason that explains why kids all over the world are wearing shirts of professional players that they never have the chance to see live in the stadium, because those players are far away playing in Europe, and those boys are spread all over the world, in Southeast Asia or in South America or in Mexico, in Pakistan. So they are spread, and they are wearing the shirts of those football players, because those football players inspire them. We are sure that volleyball has the same power. Volleyball has the power to inspire youth to come to volleyball. And we have the power to inspire fans, sports fans all over the world, to come and enjoy volleyball. So that's why we decided to make also a big change in our organization and launch a new event. I'm giving you some feedback because I think some of this was also referred to you in the first session when Fabio and Alice were conducting this presentation. But I think it's very important to highlight why we are changing. And as I said, the FIVB today is an organization that has a budget of, let's say, around $60 million per year, okay? Or 60 million Swiss francs. Do you know when the NBA had this size of business? I can tell you, it was more than 50 years ago. So we are trailing other sports with numbers that are really minimal when we think of the size of sports events in other parts of the world. And our sport is global, so why can't we also be big? Why can't we also be a successful sport with higher numbers, with professional players that can also make millions per year in their careers? I think that this is not a dream, this is a vision, and it's achievable. So the session today, we are going to bring to you the elements that are not the technical ones, but are the elements that we believe are absolutely necessary to make the technical part, which we already have, make the technical part be valued at the level where we believe volleyball can be. So we are going to talk today to you about brand and promotion. We are going to talk about communication. We are going to talk to you about the sports presentation. Very important elements. We are going to talk to you about TV production. So those elements are the key elements to make the technical elements of the sport, the things that happen inside the court, to connect with the fans all over the world. That's the critical element that volleyball has been missing. We have had amazing athletes, amazing performances in our sport, but how many people were able to see it? How many people were able to appreciate the action of our players in our events? Basically, very few people were able to see it. And that's something that, in our belief, or in my personal belief, is due to the fact that volleyball never had a proper understanding of the issues that are connected to communication. Communication is the element that links the great actions that take place in our sport, the achievements of the players, the achievements of teams and coaches, connects those achievements with the fans. If the fans are not aware that something amazing is happening in the volleyball events that we organize, there is no value for the fans, there is no value for the audiences, there is no value for the media companies, and there is no value for sponsors. So the big change, I would say, that we are bringing out of volleyball is a change that deals both with the product itself, the way we present the sport to the fans, and we are adding many elements here. We are adding the elements of the challenge system. We are adding the elements of the sport presentation. Sport presentation is a term that has to be properly understood. We are not talking about simply entertainment. We are talking about using the time that is available in volleyball between the action, between in the intervals. It's between the points, in all intervals, the timeouts, the technical timeouts, the interval between the sets, every interval between points, to use those moments to engage the fans with the sport. And when we have something amazing happening on the court, an amazing play by a player or by a team, we need to celebrate those moments. And we need to celebrate those moments, and we need to register and capture those moments on camera, because there is no other way we can reach fans all over the world if not by using video, moving images and audio to show those moments to fans and create then the proper promotion of our players. Because if the fans cannot see the face of our players, they cannot understand what's going on in volleyball in those fantastic moments that will happen in our event, the fans will not be able to appreciate our sport. And we are going to stay there basically where we are, being a fantastic sport, a universal sport, but not going to be able to compete with the sports that are, professionally speaking, much ahead of us. So I think it's a time of change that we are really proposing here. And there are many changes that will come. We hope that also the technical delegates is the same message we are giving to everybody who is involved in this event. We hope that you will contribute also with your vision and your experience and your suggestions for us to make improvements to take the sport forward. And this means that maybe we have to propose even certain changes in the sport itself, like basketball did more than 60 years ago, to change in order to create or to renew the appeal in regards to the fans. I'm going to give you just one simple example. A few years ago, we did a study here in the FIVB about the dynamics of the match. And we analyzed the duration of matches, the maximum duration of the top longest matches, the duration of the 5 shortest matches. And we analyzed what was happening in those matches. And we found out that volleyball was again increasing the average duration of the matches. What is the consequence of having a sport where the events are lasting more and more? The consequence is that for media companies that are essential to us, like free-to-air television in the key countries where volleyball is relevant, I'm talking about Japan, I'm talking about Poland, I'm talking about Brazil, I'm talking about countries where we are not relevant economically speaking, but we are relevant as a sport, like the United States, which has very strong volleyball, but basically no support from the media and from sponsors. In those territories, but also in Italy, in France, in all territories where we can still have some exposure on free-to-air television, the minutes count. And if we are not able to deliver a volleyball match within a certain duration, we risk losing the support of those broadcasters because they cannot program a match that they cannot schedule properly in their grid. There are other programs before, there are other programs that come after volleyball. If our duration is very imprecise, we have problems. So we started to take measures, as many of you know, we started to take measures to shorten the interval between the points. But I think that maybe we need to do an even more radical move. Maybe we need to consider that we will need to give to players a certain amount of time, and that means a rule change, for the moment when they get the ball. From that moment, they must have just X number of seconds to do the service. Not the amount of time they have today to get the ball, to prepare, and when they are ready, the referee whistles, and then they have 8 seconds to serve. Maybe we have to give them a certain time, maybe 10 seconds, from the moment they get the ball. So if the player gets the ball, 10 seconds, that's what you have to put the ball in play. So by doing that, I'm just giving one example, one simple example of something that has an implication in the rules of the game, has an implication in the dynamic of the game, in the total duration, and has a very important economical implication in our relation with broadcasters. But if we don't think, or if we don't have ideas like this in order to understand where the challenges are and what we need to do to overcome those challenges, to be able to answer to the big issues that we have in order to make volleyball a competitive sport, competitive in the sense of a product that is relevant for the media, because if we are not relevant for the media, we are not going to be relevant for fans. We need to understand those challenges as part of our work towards the launching of the Volleyball Nations League. So after this quick introduction, I'm going to speak to you a bit later about the TV plans, content production, and how we plan to innovate the distribution of content in the VNL. I think that after this quick introduction, I'm going to pass the floor to Alice Kessler, who is the head of our volleyball department, and she will address to you the recap of day one, and I'll be talking to you quite soon. Alice?
Yes, hello, fellow technical delegates. Thank you, Fernando Lima, for this wonderful and inspiring introduction of our second session now. I will just take a little moment of your time to look back on what we saw during the first day of our webinar back in March, and what you will be discussing today. Fernando already mentioned a couple of points, very, very important elements that will make VNL as our flagship event. But I will go quickly through the agenda. As you see on the screen, as a next step, we will do a little recap of what we discussed last time. We will follow up with a Q&A session. We have summarized all the questions that you've posed last time and that we were not able to give you answers during the previous session. So we will summarize those for you again and try to answer all your questions. If you do have any further questions to any points that we are discussing during today's session as well, please be reminded that you can put those comments in the box under the YouTube link. And we will do our best to answer either immediately or we will summarize during the question and answer sessions after each point. All right. Moving forward, we will talk to you about the VNL brand and promotion, followed by the commercial rights that are exercised at the VNL, so you are aware. And we will speak about the communication around VNL and how FIVB is managing this aspect of VNL competition. We will talk about VNL TV plan, namely the new setup we have for Volleyball Nations League with the participation of IMG. And we will speak about the sport presentation, which is one of the biggest new elements in this competition. So you understand the main actors coming in play for this aspect of the event. And finally, we will provide you all the tools that are necessary. I know that some of you have been quite agitated and expecting assistance for your duties performed at the VNL, especially the ones that will be performing at, will be officiating for the first time at our FIVB events. And please do rest assured that we will extend any guidance that you will need. We will be able to do one-to-one sessions directly with you. We will provide you with a detailed checklist of what you need to do as soon as you arrive, as the days goes on, all the things you need to verify that will help you step by step through your days. All right, so not to worry, we will be there for you. And finally, we will of course ask you to provide reports after the event, and we will explain to you why and how, just to make sure that everybody's on the same page. So moving forward, as a recap of what we saw last time, first of all, we established VNL as the FIVB's flagship event. As the next most important thing, we have now one competition for the two genders with the same format and with the same prize money, which has not been done before previously. We identified the major milestone that FIVB has achieved with engaging IMG as its partner for the Volleyball Nations League. And we have also identified the unique aspect of Volleyball Nations League, where all national federations that are participating are shareholders, so invested in the success of the event, which is extremely crucial, and putting all stakeholders on the same page. We spoke about the consistency of the TV production, which will be provided by the help of IMG on board for across all VNL. And we spoke about, of course, the participation of 21 national federations in this double gender competition. We spoke about the best athletes being put in the middle of the action and being the focus of our events. And of course, one of the main items that also Fernando mentioned several times is the fan engagement that we will try to achieve for VNL. We also saw the competition format with the 2 rounds. We have the round-robin phase with the pools, and we have the finals phase with the final 6 teams participating. We spoke about the calendar, the women playing on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, while men take play on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. This allows us to have action during the week, non-stop, across the 8 weeks of VNL that we have put in our calendars in 2018. So this gives us a unique content for volleyball. We spoke about the competition regulations. We spoke about athlete eligibility. We talked about team registration steps. For your information, team registration has already started for women's competition. The deadline was recently, and we have received the first step for the women's teams. Men's teams will follow in less than 10 days. We spoke about the team delegations allowed at the VNL and how we manage team delegation participation in the VNL. We spoke about the officials allowed on the bench, and we spoke about the roles of team doctors and therapists and their accreditation process. We also touched upon the venue setup and the new strategy, new image for the setup of the field of play. So what we want is a clean venue, especially in the view of TV cameras. We want a non-busy area, so less traffic, making sure that what the fans view is purely our sport and the sporting action and excellence. We spoke about the warm-up area, so we have 2 options available for the organizers to choose depending on the venues. We also spoke about the positioning of our technology field of play service providers like Hawkeye Challenge system or Data Project providing the e-score sheet and so on. We spoke also about the very important factor, which is the team statisticians now being placed higher up in the seats in the venue. We also spoke about the sport presentation necessity to provide the space for them. Finally, moving forward with the sport equipment, for your reference, you can always refer to the handbook. We have a chapter called Competition Hall and Field of Play chapter. We identified, so the 3-color gel floor, flooring for all the VNL competitions. This is mandatory, and we are happy to inform you that all the organizers will have this in place. We will be playing with our Mikasa balls, and we will be using the Seno nets for the VNL competition. In terms of game technology, all the VNL legs will be using video challenge system, the Vocero communication system for the referees, of course, that goes with the challenge system in place, and of course we will have Data Project for the e-score sheet procedures and statistics and the team tablets. At the end of the first session, we also spoke about your role in the Volleyball Nations League. So what I would like to just emphasize again, please know that we are all in this together. We are all in this together to create a very successful event for all of us, for the FIVB, for the organizers, for the teams participating, and of course for yourselves as well. So please remember that you are there to help and assist, to make sure that the competition runs smoothly, try to facilitate and direct any questions that the organizers have, and be there as a support. As I mentioned before, our ultimate objective is a successful event. We also mentioned the roles of the technical delegates, but also other new officials or team players that have been introduced specifically this year for the specific purpose of Volleyball Nations League. So we now have also the event managers that some of you might have met already last year. We explained the role of these event managers and how you are able to work with the event managers hand in hand, and where they can help you and assist you and make your life easier, so your focus can be purely on the sport, on the technical execution of the event. We also spoke about the strategy and how you should approach your activities. So I jumped ahead already with my speech, but we also mentioned the sport presentation supervisors, that we will have a person assigned from the FIVB in each pool of the Volleyball Nations League to coordinate or orchestrate, if you would like, the action on the court, which is a major change in our game. And of course, the media delegate duties. For the activity schedule, this is something that we have been trying to put together a detailed map in order to consistently help our organizers to create a consistency among the pre-event and during event activities. So this activity schedule encompasses all the activities that need to take place prior to the competition, starting with the arrival of our officials, with the local staff and venue setup, and runs through until the end of the competition. So this should help you, help the organizers, and help everybody be on the same page and understand who is doing what, at what time, how much time is needed, what resources are needed. So this is a definitely good asset for you to examine and go in detail. So moving forward, I will give the floor to Kim, who will start the summary session of the questions and answers. And just to remind you again, please feel free to pose any questions you have at this stage, so we can answer those and get you ready for VNL. And thank you so much for your attention, and I hope you will enjoy this webinar session today. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody from Switzerland. It's a pleasure to be here with you all today again. So I'm here to talk to you about the Q&A summary from day one. As we mentioned last time, we had a wonderful participation from all of you with your questions. And as promised, we are coming back to you with the answers. So we have divided all our questions by different topics, different area. We got one question regarding the playoffs of the Volleyball Challenger Cup. The question was, are the playoffs also under the FIVB control? So the playoff will consist of one match between the winner of the following confederations. The higher ranked national team in FIVB World Ranking as of 1st of January this year shall host a playoff match by no later than the 14th of June 2018. So between CAVB and CSV for women and between AVC and CSV for men. In the event that the lower ranked team refuses to travel, the higher ranked team will be qualified automatically. In the event that the higher ranked team refuses to organize a playoff match, the lower ranked team will be qualified automatically. So I hope this answer was clear for you. We also have quite a few questions about technology. What will be the competence of VIS and Data Volley comparing to the previous editions? So on every pool, there will be one data project operator. He is responsible to install the e-score sheets and the coaching tablets, and he's there to assist in case during the match. There will be also on site 2 Data Volley local operators, which are assigned by the organizer, and they will operate the system and collect all the match statistics. Can we locate the data project operator behind the jury table? So as you can see on the chapter 9 of the VNL handbook, the VIS operators can be positioned in the stands to the side of the court or with the team scouts. The area must be secured and not seen on camera shots or images. Okay? Still in technology, some people asked us if it's possible to use 2 voceros set together. No, technically it is not possible because you will be on 2 different channels. So it is possible to have 1 vocero with 6 headsets instead. Are we using cameras on the net? We having Hawkeye, who installed 4 different cameras on each corners of the net. Are we using flying cameras like we had in Rio? So this is not mandatory, and it depends of the organizer, the venue, and the host broadcasters. As you have seen on the court layout in session 1, we have taken out the TV crane from the field of play. Regarding the field of play, we had questions asking about if the doctor and the therapist are not required by the coach to sit on the bench, could the team arrive with no doctor by listing an extra coach? Yes, but FIVB requires to have a medical personnel. However, if there is none, you can register an additional coach. In previous time, if the team doctor or team physio did not have a valid accreditation, they could still sit behind the bench. Looking at the court layout, I guess there will be no space on the course. So only accredited officials and staff on duty are allowed on the field of play. We really want to keep this field of play very clean with only people allowed on it. Since there's no coach restriction line, who stops the coach getting close to the sideline during the play? It is the responsibility of the referee. Still on the field of play, someone was asking if the ball retrievers sit behind the cameraman. Yes, correct. The TV production have the privileged positions. They need the images of our game. Do we allow cheerleaders to stand behind the LED panels? No. As you can see, there's no cheerleaders written on our plan. So the cheerleaders can be in the public, on the stairs, but not on the field of play, please. How many accredited photographers can stay behind the LED panels during the game? So there is a limited access for photographers, which is defined with the organizer, but only those are allowed on the field of play. Still asking, we had someone asking us if the trolleys are allowed for the team equipment. Yes, they are. However, using ball carriers, Brandon Mikasa look much better on TV. Is the official table the same as the score table? No. So the technical officials sit at the score table. When the FIVB technical delegate, you sits at the official table. Where is the event manager during the matches? Event manager is not on the field of play. So he's either in the public or on the side, but definitely not on the field of play. Regarding operations, someone asked if national IDs are allowed for the players. So of course there is some players that won't have their passport because it's in between the club season and the national team season. So official identification documents are authorized as long as it's in Latin alphabet, that we can really correct that is an official identification. We also had very often confusions about the date and the month of birth date. So please, in order to avoid confusion, let's keep day, month, and year for all of us. All the national federation received a sticker for the nets. All of them did. And result of the inspection visit will be shared with you on Collaborate platform, which I will introduce you at the last point of this webinar today. Hawkeye, as this first question, Hockey and Gerflor must synchronize upon their arrival, -4 days, to make sure that all the cabling are installed under the flooring. What about the team forms? Team camera form, the technical delegate must receive the team camera forms during the PI. Teams are allowed to film as long as it won't be used for commercial purpose, and Hawkeye has 2 cameras positioned behind the service line, and all the teams will have access to this content. Are there any medical and press meetings like in the past? So for medical meetings, the medical delegates will only be assigned for the VNL finals. As for press, it will depend of the media interest. Operations, still, are doping controls planning to take place for the players and the referees? For the players, it is through the local anti-doping agency, and for the referees, all of them will go through an alcohol and health test. Does the FIVB event manager complete a separate report at the end of the competition? Yes, they have a completely separate report, and I will present you at the end of the session your report. Do the technical delegate also inspect the compression pads, protective advice, etc.? No, it is the role of the referee. Operation still, referee delegates are only assigned for the VNL finals. Okay, there won't be any referee delegates during the pools. How many FIVB will be on site? So as we presented on session 1, this listed are all the officials that will be present on site during the pools, the first rounds. And finally, we noticed that a lot of your questions are relating to the competition setup. So this setup is now available on our website, fivb.com. If you go directly to volleyball and then form, you will find the warm-up area option A, option B, and the dimensions. So please all look at those documents, have them with you. Those are the documents that Larry presented to you on session 1 with all the details and dimension needed. They will also be on the right part of this document, the key elements and the placements of the field of play service providers and competition officials in the stands. Those are many of you questions that you have asked us, and all your answers are well clearly written in this document. And finally, the VNL handbook is uploaded on our DAM platform, which we will present to you later, and all of you have access to it. It's a link, and just so you know, we keep updating it, so every time you click on the link, you have the latest version. So this is it for me regarding the question. I hope I was clear enough, and we were able to give you all the answers that you were all requiring. We are moving on now to VNL brand and promotion. The question answers are open. You have on the right side of your screen a little area where you can drop questions, so feel free. And after each session, like session 1, we will give you a few minutes to answer to your question. Thank you so much.
Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you. My name is Anna Sarafianou, and I'm the marketing manager for FIVB. Today, I'm here, and I'm very excited to share with you the long and fantastic journey that we had in order to build that solid brand called Volleyball Nations League. The objective behind this brand is, the overall objective we have at the marketing department is to grow the sport and bring more people, more fun to the fantastic volleyball community. On top of that, not only we want to bring more fun to the community, we want to create more connections and basically have a fantastic and a more engaging experience between the fans, the athletes, and the sport. VNL is the best example we will have to deliver that experience, and we can have a look of what is available for you. There is only one thing also I would like to remind ourselves is that trying to target more people, trying to target more fans, it's not only us doing that. We are not competing only against other sports. We are also competing against the music industry, the cinema industry. So basically, we're trying to catch people's attention, and we need to find the most unique and ownable and distinct way to do it. So the idea was behind all the brand building of the VNL was to create something which is only us, only the volleyball can claim. And the best way to do it is to leverage the sport itself. So the concept that we based and inspired the whole elements and tools that you will discover soon is called Made of Volleyball. We have 4 different pillars to support this brand, which is obviously the new name, Volleyball Nations League, an ownable music universe, as well the branding, the trophy, and our medals, and a powerful promotional campaign, because whatever we do, we need to promote and we need to make the VNL known to a wider audience. As I said, the sport itself was the inspiration on everything we do, so basically we said we need to give, we were inspired by the sport, and we started by our colors. So on the left side of your presentation, you see the current colors of the court. On the right side, you see the 2 colors of the VNL. Rest assured that the color of the court won't be changed. Is this just an indication for you to understand from where we start and where we want to go? The idea is we're creating a unisex competition. So there's no more blue and pink. We are talking about one competition which is relevant to everybody. And we wanted to create something more dynamic, energetic. So we boosted our colors, and we have electric blue and electric orange. We also were inspired by our court, and it gave us, as you can see, an idea of how we can use that frame to put our content, to put our thoughts, and basically use that frame to create an ownable graphic device that only volleyball can claim. So, in few words, I imagine this frame to put together content about our athletes, in our social media, in the venue, put together the fans with the athletes or the sponsors, you name it. It's up to us how we want to merge the information and the content we want to provide to the wider audience. We also created a bespoke typeface, because we think that the best way to leverage our sport is to show how unique and different it is. So what we did is that if you have a look at the top camera of any volleyball game, you will see that different forms are created following the trajectory of the ball. And basically, this is what we did. We put together, we motion captured a ball, and we put together 2 teams of athletes, both men and women, to create an alphabet inspired by a rally, by different rallies. And all of these created an alphabet, as you can see. that is the volleyball alphabet. The idea behind this alphabet is not just to create a nice-to-have alphabet, is also go beyond that and create a language, the volleyball language. And together with that, the lexicon, the words, everything that can distinguish volleyball from other sports or from other activities. Obviously, we have also a corporate typeface that we can use, but we would like to capitalize and leverage this rally typeface, as we call it. Based on the same idea and the same logic, we created the logo of the competition. So we created a logo which inspires energy, modernity, and represents the two sexes, both men and women. So, as you can see, inspired by, again, by Rally, we're trying to create the way, one distinctive and ownable logo that can be used across all the touch points in venue, in editions, in promotional campaigns, wherever we need it, together with the typeface. This typeface will help us also celebrate our ritual. You know that during a match we have created language, we have created a way of communicating and engaging with our fans. And this way, all the super spike and the monster block that you know better than me will be highlighted, will be beautified with this typeface. Another way of explaining how rich is the sport is to show a little bit about its history. And one of the ideas we have is we wanted to celebrate our history and start showcasing former fantastic rally actions that happened in the past. So this is an example, for instance, of a fantastic match point delivered by the USSR team in the Mexico Olympic Games, where we want to illustrate this fantastic match point in a way, in a more modern way. So if you follow that rally, you see that if you follow the trajectory of ball, you understand what happened real at that time. And the creativity and the ideas that come out of these are endless. So we were thinking of, why not creating T-shirts or other elements or content explaining to fans how difficult it is to reproduce that specific rally. But these are just ideas. Obviously, we need to discuss even more with you and find some local adaptation of this. Another big component, and a big component of the brand, is the promotional campaign we put together with the objective of motivating the fans to be part of the game, to motivating fans to be more present and be actively in venue. But also, it was also another way to help people understand how demanding, how performing, and how unique the sport it is. So let me share with you a few examples of the print campaign and of the digital campaign that has been put together. And let's start with the print campaign, which is illustrating athletes delivering a monster block and a number of fans helping him doing that. The campaign is signed by Be Part of the Game, and it is the idea we had to motivate and bring more people into the game, because we all know that when the fans are more active, athletes are happier and everybody is looking even better on camera. So this is the way we want to create a connection between our fans and our athletes. So on this specific visual, we see an athlete performing diving, and then a number of other fans trying to help her dive at the same time and save the ball. This campaign has been delivered already to all of the related markets, and we are waiting for your fantastic media plans to discuss and find solution and find the local adaptation and discuss with you the local adaptation of it. Second part of the campaign is the digital part of the campaign, which is called The Tricks. A simple idea behind this, this campaign was we wanted to explain to the audience the sport is extremely demanding. The sport is extremely difficult. And somehow, and it's very fast, and sometimes we don't even understand how difficult it is. So the idea behind this campaign was to not only to explain the difficulty of the sport, but also deliver the message in a more I would say, engaging and funnier way. So we created a number of videos with our top athletes, the top athletes that they will be part of the VNL, because they are the ambassadors, after all, of this event. And we created with them a number of videos where they are performing fantastic volleyball actions in a funny and in different way. I would like to share with you two examples, one from a female and one from a male athlete. So.
大家好，我是朱婷，司职主攻，来自中国，充满排球力的你准备好了吗？求生看 VAL。哇！ 让排球成为你的一部分。
Okay. All right, that was the first example. And let me share with you the second example, and then I can give you some more information.
Aleksandar Atanasijević, Korotrp stacije Srbije. Da li ste spremni za nevjerojatnu odbojku? Gledajte Ligu nacija, budite deo igre.
So again, the idea again is to highlight how difficult the sport is, bring into life fantastic volleyball actions. We have a number of those in and out the court, featuring the best athletes. We try to capture the majority of countries and have videos representing the majority of the participating countries. It was a fantastic project, but very difficult to realize. Imagine trying to put together 10 top athletes during the club season. You can imagine how difficult it was, the task for us. But at least we managed, and now we rely on you to try to promote those videos and these print campaigns to the local media. So the marketing team is available for any questions you might have today or later on at this stage. And we're really looking forward to receive your plans or how you plan to promote the VNL in your local area. So thank you for attending this part of the presentation, and we're looking forward to receive your questions.
So, dear delegates, I'm back again. I will just answer that. We have two questions, and I feel it's better that I address these instead of Anna. Anna, kindly let me take over. So, from Mr. Timbo, we received a question regards the role of the event manager. I will read out the question. During the first session, it was made clear that the event manager was in charge of the environment of the competition. How does the technical delegate intervene in the brand and promotion aspect of the event? Very good question. So as we discussed earlier, so here we see the split of the roles now that we are establishing. Technical and sport versus the operations and venue appearance, if you would like. So technical delegate is not directly involved in brand implementation at the venue. Technical delegate needs to focus on the sport. However, technical delegate is the main authority on behalf of the FIVB at the venue. So you could see as a head of the FIVB delegation. So you should be aware, and for your benefit, we are doing this seminar to explain all the details and aspects of marketing, commercial, so you are aware. But officially and technically, just to be clear, technical delegate role is not concerned to concern themselves about brand and promotion. This will be the role of the event manager in this case. I hope that I answered the question. And we have another question from Mr. Smith. Thank you very much. I think we owe you a better explanation. The seminar today, the webinar today, was dedicated to the technical delegates. However, as we found the content very much appealing and interesting also to our host of the VNL this year, we have invited to participate also the marketing people involved in the organization of our events. So the address, what Anna made earlier, speaking about the promotional campaigns and being able to customize as per your local markets, this was addressed to the marketing people that are listening to us right now. So please let us know if you have any other questions, and we will be more than happy to answer those for you. I hope that this is satisfactory, and we will see you very soon again. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's a great pleasure to be able to present to you today with the help of these great technologies. My name is Elisabetta Bracht, and today I'm going to give you a quick overview about FIVB commercial program related to the long-awaited event Volleyball Nations League. Before moving into the main topic, I would like briefly to introduce you commercial department. We are very small department and fairly new. Director of our department, Mario Medeiros. I'm a vice director, and we have a partnership service manager, Jeannie Zhang. The main key area of responsibility of our department is obviously sales. So we are selling sponsorship, we are selling events. Obviously, once the agreement is signed, we need to make sure that the rights are implemented. That's why we are taking care of partnership services. And we also recently, obviously, we are looking for new source of revenue, and we introduce licensing and merchandising program, and we're also working on commercial hospitality. So coming back to the main topic of this presentation, I would like to give you a quick explanation about FIVB commercial program. Our program is based on the hierarchy, and you could see this pyramid, which actually illustrates the hierarchy of our partners, which is based on product exclusivity. The partnership varies based on the number of rights given to the partner and the amount of money received from them in return. By entering into agreement with the national federations, we are granting them 50% of our commercial rights, which they could exploit locally. Here you could see the list of our current partners. We have agreement in place until 20, with some partners even longer. So what is important to note is that some of our partners have rights to the entire Volleyball Nations League. Some of the partners have rights only to the finals. So you could see that our technical supplier, Sena, it's a net supplier, Mikasa ball supplier, and the Gerflow floor, they have rights to the entire league. And our supporter, ASICS and Schenker, only to the finals. In this year, it will be respectively France, Lille, and Nanjing, China. What is also important to notice, we have an agreement with Banco do Brasil. However, they have only advertising rights and without marketing rights. And they have only exposure on the LED boards and at all the matches with participation of the Brazilian national team at the preliminary rounds and for all the matches at the finals. So let's talk about the reserved category. So as I mentioned before, our program is based on the category exclusivity, and it means that by signing agreement with this or another sponsor, we obviously have to guarantee an exclusivity. So once the agreement is signed, we block this category. So you could see that we block the category of volleyball, volleyball sport equipment. Obviously, we have Mikasa, we have Seno, and so on. However, we also reserve some other categories because we believe that we could potentially sign agreements. So we are targeting those companies. Therefore, we need to have this freedom to perform sales. But we also understand that our local organizing committee also might have, they're also performing sales, and they need to, they're targeting sometimes companies within the same category. Therefore, we introduce the category release mechanism. And what does it mean? So basically, when the local organizing committee believes that they are already very close to close a potential deal with a partner, they can send us a request by asking to release the category, and within 10 working days, we can process this release and actually give them permission to exploit this category. One of the kind of problematic and not an easy thing that's been already for years in the FIVB is implementation of rights of our sponsor. Obviously, we are a small department. We cannot control all the rights. We cannot physically be present at all the events. Therefore, we heavily relying on our local organizing committees and on right now on event manager who are going to be on site. So all the information about the rights and all the details are available in the handbooks, and it's also part of the NF agreement. And LOCs, they should implement, it's a part of the obligation, those rights. And FIVB event managers on site, they're supervising, and they should make sure that those rights are delivered and implemented. And should you have any problem or question or doubt, so don't hesitate to contact Jeannie Zhang, who is our focal point for all the relations with FIVB partners. Just to give you an example what actually those rights mean, here is this list is it's just an example, so those rights vary from partner to partner. However, these are the core rights. It's mainly about visibility and exposure in the venue. So we are talking about LED exposure, right to use the logo, exposure on the backdrops, and so on. So you can find this list here. Another important piece of information related to this year edition of the Volleyball Nations League is that for the first time we actually introduced an event presenting partner category. However, for this year we exceptionally released it to the local organizing committees. At the moment we had several requests, but only two national federation, two local organizing committee actually are going to exploit this. In case of Macau, presenting partner will be Galaxy, and Hong Kong event will be presented by China Live. So these are two exceptions so far related to this season. And last but not least, I already mentioned for the first time we're also introducing a licensing and merchandising program. It's just for your information, but at the finals, men's finals in Lille, we are going for the first time have official store, and we will also have an online store available with the product line branded with the VNL brand. So I'm ready now to take any question, if there are any. Thank you very much. So we received a number of questions. I will start with the first question from Mr. Alan Fischbacher. What are the regulations concerning advertisement in the sport hall? An example, second ring of advertisement, pre-install advertisement, local cities, governmental, institutional. As a general rule, normally we always require a clean venue. However, we understand that there are lots of venues with, as mentioned, with already pre-installed advertisement. So therefore, we have to be a little bit, selective. Obviously, everything what does not clashes with the FIVB partners in terms of category, so could be potentially allowed, but it has to be, we need to look at it on a case-by-case basis. So it's up to, obviously, supervisor, technical delegate, and event manager to take decision on site. However, if you see, just to give you an example, a molten advertisement in the venue and we have Mikasa, this has to be covered. So that's for sure we cannot allow. But if we see just a promotional banner of local city which is already installed, so this we can accept. But we need to make sure that at least everything what is, let's say, above 8 meters, what is not visible on TV camera, like potentially we can compromise. Everything what's below, we have to make sure that the venue is clean and proper. Second question from Mr. Wan Hun Kim. Actually, there are two questions. First, it's on the NF agreement, 50% of backdrops, LED boards, and giant screens are they reserved for the LOC? We are talking generally about 50% of commercial inventory, commercial rights. However, we mainly measure LED exposure, so time of appearance of either LOC or FIVB partners should be equal. With regards to the backdrops and giant screen, we don't really follow this exact 50-50% rule. So it's, we provide already ready templates and you have to use it. However, we are fair in terms of rights distribution. So, but 50-50% allocation is mainly related to the LED exposure. The second question I will pass because it is not really an area of responsibility of our department. I will let sport department to follow up on that. So I would like also to take a question of Alexander Steele. Do you wish us to deal with ambush marketing on towels, tattoos, and so on? Yes, that would be definitely very helpful. But again, it's like in the case of pre-install advertisement in the venue, we have to look at this as on the case by case. If we see that there is a clear ambushing of our current partners, so we have definitely to deal with that. If we see that it doesn't really compromise and it's not clashing with any of our partner, we can be probably flexible. But again, it's a decision of the technical delegates and event managers on site.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to address you here today. I'm Vanessa Martin-Rondin, if you want to do that in French, Vanessa Martin-Renden, if you'd like to do that in English. And I'm leading the communications teams for the Volleyball Nations League this year. I'd like to now give you a quick rundown of our communications goals and the operations for the VNL season. I've deliberately made my presentation short to allow for any questions about the communications procedures if you needed to after finished. So as you know, this year we have made some significant changes in the way that the video content from the VNL will be produced and channeled to fans around the world. For the first time, the FIVB, in partnership with IMG, will bring its broadcast distribution in-house. This will allow the FIVB total control of the quality and ensure the standard of broadcasting will be consistently world-class. Fans in the stadium will see new and enhanced instant replays from all angles, and those watching at home who can see live stats will complement their viewing experience, giving them a greater understanding of the match's sporting narrative. Additionally, the FIVB is working with a top global company to produce a mobile application for the tournament, which is expected for release at the end of the month, or early May at the very latest, and this will allow fans to consume our content wherever and whenever. One of the FIVB Communications Department objectives is to ensure that we transfer information effectively and efficiently to our stakeholders, who include the National Federation communications officers, who play a key role in our endeavour to raise the profile of athletes and the VNL as an event. To this end, we have started regular communications with the National Federation press officers of the countries taking part in the VNL in order to have an exchange of information that will allow us to enrich the stories and reporting on our athletes in particular. We are also working on ways to streamline media operations over the tournament in order to introduce greater efficiency in the process. With 260 matches to cover in terms of reporting and photographic content, it is important to provide consistency in content across the FIVB's communications channels. So to this end, we have appointed AFP, that's the Agence France Presse, to produce the photographic content for the website. These photos will be made available on the VNL website that was launched last week and for wider distribution to the worldwide press. The photos will be free to use by the national federations, their athletes, as well as local and international media outlets. We will also be working with an agency to put together the reports from each match of the VNL. And with social media taking a front and center role in our communications, the FIVB will be appointing a specialized company to manage the FIVB's channels. During the preliminary rounds of the VNL, the National Federation communications officers will be the front runners in ensuring local promotion of their event, that local media operations run smoothly, that the local and international media attending the matches of the VNL have access to the information that they require. Furthermore, the on-site communications teams will still have an important role to play during the event, and we will provide more information on specific roles in the coming weeks. We will also continue to provide information on live streams, live scoring, match statistics, information on the players, coaches and teams, so that you have that at your fingertips if you ever need it. In terms of the on-site operational issues, we've had a few questions come in to us about the photographers' positions on site, and I wanted to take this opportunity here to tell you that we are aware of the situation, and we are working with the relevant departments to come up with a viable solution which will be communicated to everybody as soon as possible. So you know, this is an iterative process, so we're open to knowing how you think, if there is anything that we can improve for the next years, and we look forward to your suggestions and insights and ideas. Floor is open now for any questions that you might have, so please go ahead and ask away. And should you need any help in the coming weeks, please do not hesitate to contact the FIVB Communications Department, and we will transfer all our contact information to you in the package that is coming to you after this webinar. Thank you very much. We're back with a few questions. Thank you very much. I'll just start off with a question from Paula Paradelas. We were wondering when the players' information and team photos for the official program will be available. We're currently working on that, as the women's team lists were available just this week, and we will get the information out early next week so that you have all the information available for you for the official program. By the end of this week, i.e. tomorrow, I will also be ensuring that we've got all the files, necessary files, and all the necessary text that you need to have the official program put together. So I will send out an official communication to all the National Federation communications officers as soon as this is online in our DEM system. The communications handbook is not available just yet, you are right. And we're working to get this over to you as soon as possible. We're just ironing out a few details that need to go into the chapter. So as soon as that is done, we will make that available to everyone as well, again, on the DEM system, and I will send out a message to the communications officers so that they know that it is available. A question from Volleyball Canada regarding photography. How does the contract with AFB work with local events? And will the local photographers be providing photos to AFB or directly to the FIVB? For the moment, the way we have structured it is that AFB will be present at the matches. They will be providing the photos and they will be uploading those onto our system. This is not to say that local photographers will not be producing content. They will be doing so too, and they will be, we will see how we will make it available to us through the FIVB. And also for other outlets to use. The photographers will, the local photographers, we will also be looking to see how they can help us with taking out photos of more local area events and information that we would require from around the venue so that you know what the split is for the moment. And a question from Alan Fischbacher. What about press conferences before the start of the competition and after the matches? The press conferences are still optional. However, we will leave this up to the local. If it is required locally, then by all means they will be we will be able to have them. The event, the pre-event, the formal interviews, these will happen just before the finals. But the teams will still be requested to be accessible to the media. For the most part, we would like the interviews to be done in the mix zone so that these interviews can be gotten there soon after the match is over. Thank you very much. And as I said, if there are any further questions, please do not hesitate to get in touch with the communications department directly. Thank you.
So, hello again. I'm here to talk about the TV production, and I believe I will use this chance to speak not only about specifically TV production, but more broadly about what we want to achieve with the production of content in the Volleyball Nations League. So as I made the reference before, I think volleyball, we are all absolutely sure that we have an amazing sport in our hands. The task that we all have being responsible for the presentation of the sport to fans, the delivery of the events to fans, the big responsibility we have is to make this sport more relevant for more fans. We want to see volleyball venues full, and we want to have huge audiences watching volleyball events. It's not an easy task in the world as it is today. Many changes in the media landscape, many changes in the behavior of fans. But one thing is absolutely clear, and it's one thing that we need to do in volleyball. We need to make our players more popular, and we need to engage our players with the fans. Engage means we need to put them in contact. We need to make their pictures available, their images available. We need to make their personal life available after they become known as volleyball high-level athletes. So the process in sports, in any sport, is always the same. Athletes who perform at the highest level, athletes that achieve great results, that win titles, those are the athletes that the public cares about because they are the most visible ones. As I said, the great difficulty we have had until today in volleyball is to provide our players with proper visibility. This means that it's not enough to have the live match on television. It's important to have the live match on television in lots of countries. It's important that we deliver a product that will have appeal to the audience so that people want to stay there to watch a volleyball match for 2 hours and gets excited in order to want to come back the next day or stay for the next match. If there are 2 matches in a day, which is extremely difficult to do today, to achieve this performance of having people standing for 4 hours or 5 hours in front of a TV, so it's a very huge task. Usually we know that we are going to involve the audiences of the teams that are playing specifically in each match, but that is the big challenge, is to, in order to succeed, we need to put our players visible to fans. We need to improve the communication. So what's going to happen this year, for the first time in history of the sport, is that television will not only work for us. Television, as speaking about the team that will be broadcasting the event, television will belong to us. So we are a team. I remember when the World League was created in 1990, the first years, and many years after that also, many times we had the situation where technical delegates, because they had all the pressure of being the single representative of the FIVB in the event many times, they had the pressure to make everything happen. They would treat local broadcasters almost like enemies. So I'm not saying this is a general rule, but I'd say it happened. I was a broadcaster at the time. I know how the relation was many times tense. The picture has completely changed now. This year, we have a partnership with the production team. The production team is working for us, and the relationship has to be managed in the way that everybody understands what we need to achieve in every match, in every competition hall. What we want to achieve is the best broadcast possible. When we think about the resources that we have available in this new journey, the TV resources are far from ideal, but they are really reasonable. We are going to have 13 cameras per match across the board, maybe some additional resources in the finals. Basically, you're not going to see some cameras that are common in the sport, like the crane camera in the back. The crane camera will not exist, the jib cam. It takes space. It eliminates some seats that can be used by fans in a very precious position, and at the same time, it's a very costly equipment. So we would like to have the jib cam. Yes, we would like to have that camera. But when we are responsible now for the production of 260 matches in total, in the combination of all the men and women's matches in the VNL, the cost issue is extremely relevant. Just to mention a number to you, the TV production will be of almost 10 million francs in this calendar year for the two events. It's a high investment that was never made before by FIVB, and we are only able to do this investment because we did the partnership with IMG, so they are really also putting a lot of effort in the sales process in order to make up the money that will cover those costs. But if we don't move in this direction, if we don't start to control our images, we are not really moving from where we are. And as I think that I already mentioned in my opening remarks, where we are is very far away from where we can be. In order to move ahead with the sport, we need really to improve the way we are managing the moving images of the sport, so that we not only are able to provide the live matches, but mainly considering today's platforms, the social media platforms especially, and the tools that we can have to communicate with fans, like the app that we are going to launch very soon, that you are going to be able to download if you have a Windows mobile phone or an Android or an iOS. It means that you have an iPhone from Apple, or if you have an iPhone from Samsung, or most of the brands, we are going to be covered. You can use your iPhone, download an app that will deliver to you every day all the results, the program, the key images of the sport, interviews, lots of information about the VNL. So we are creating a reference point for the fans to be able to know what's going on in the VNL in their hands through their mobile phones. We already launched as you are aware, we launched already the new web page inside the FIVB website for the VNL. It's also far away from where we would like to be in terms of content, but we are beginning this journey. And in order for this journey to allow us to move faster, the cooperation of the national federations is something that is critical. But this is not the subject today for the technical delegates or for the marketing people that are participating here. For the marketing people that are watching this session, I would make one request, which I think is extremely important, is that you share with us what are the local plans that you are deploying in order to promote the event, to create fan attraction. We would like very much to know from each organizer what are the current local marketing plans. Our marketing team would like very much to collect all that information in order to share back to you this information, so that we can learn one from the experience of the other, what's being done, what are the best practices that we can use. I heard also something that in the commercial presentation made by Lisa about the advertising in the venues. Again, we are in the beginning of a journey. We would like to have always completely advertising-free venues. That eventually will not be the case, but the minimum request we are making is that the venue should be advertising-free in regards to the camera plan. So the main cameras in the broadcast should not be seeing any advertising that is not an FIVB advertising, the brand of our sponsors or our branding in the venue. There may exist eventually certain commitments in the venues that do not allow us at this stage to impose the removal of certain advertising. But this advertising must be outside the camera view, so outside the angle of the cameras that will do the coverage. This is one, I think, minimum request that we have to individually in each venue, each organizer should negotiate. So the other important aspect is that of distribution. As I said, the live match is basically what volleyball always had. When we compare the success of other sports, the top sports, football, basketball, all the American professional league sports, what we see is that there is much more content coming from the live matches that allows each sport to feed the interest of the fans with that content. You're going to see many clips of football goals, replays of the goals, interviews with players, and basically all the sports do something similar, always using the best moments of each event in order to give the fans the content that is really relevant for them. And that is the missing part in our sport until today. We have not seen volleyball focusing in the delivery of content beyond the live match. And that is one of the big changes that you are going to see in this new Volleyball Nations League, is the delivery of content post-match. So that's why we are going to launch this app, which we expect that also will evolve a long time from one season to the other, but it will be the tool that will allow us to put there our content, our best content, and that will allow us to use the great moments of the sport to promote the players and to make them known by the public. On top of this, of course, we have a social media strategy. We are working with people that are bringing their knowledge in social media so that we can use in the best possible way the platforms that are common basically to people all over the world. You know that a platform like Facebook has 2 billion users. So we are talking here about Facebook, we're talking about Snapchat, we're talking about Twitter, we're talking about Tumblr, we're talking about Weibo, about social media in China and in Japan, countries that have had their own platforms. We need to be present in all those platforms with our content. And the structure we created with IMG will allow them to be the producers of the live feed, but they will be also responsible for the editing of all this material that will be provided to social media platforms all over the world. So I think that we are being now extremely consistent in the actions that we are taking. It is the time to change. The change has to come now. Volleyball Nations League represents for us what can be a fantastic future. We are absolutely sure that we needed to make a change in direction. This change, then to summarize, is a change of the product by integrating a new sport presentation. It's a huge change in terms of the production of content, and it's an absolutely immense change because it's something completely new, the change in the distribution, because now we are going to send our content to fans all over the world. And we hope that one day, maybe we don't need to wait the many years that other sports needed to be popular globally. Maybe we can have our event and our athletes in a, I would say, average period of time, not short time, not long time, maybe in a very few years, we are going to be able to see our athletes' shirts also being worn by young boys or young girls in many different countries in the planet. So basically that is the message that I would like to address to you on the topic of television. I'm not going to bother you with camera plans and other things, because I don't think this is necessary. It's too technical. We don't need to do it today. If you have curiosity, you can always address your curiosity to the FIVB or directly to me, and I can explain individually to all of you. I would like also to register that we already had a peak in this session of 56 people watching, and we have received some pictures of some of the technical delegates gathering with other people to see what's going on in this session that we are where we are addressing to you our messages. And just to give one example, in Thailand we had 6 people around the table, so I think if you multiply that number, we are having today a record audience, considering that we have a very narrow target, which is today the technical delegates and some marketing professionals working for different national federations. So thank you for your time, and I will be glad to reply to questions that you may have. I already have questions. Do you need to go down? I don't need to go down. I can go on because they are all listening, so I will just see. I have 2 questions here, one from Nico Hubben. Should we create a so-called meet and greet zone for spectators a kind of mixed zone. Yeah, I think that this is something that happens in big events where you need to do the bump in and bump out of public, and you have the adequate space to put fans together and allow them to, let's say, have some form of then entertainment or some attractions where they can go around different sponsor booths, see products, see material about the event. But I think this is, it is a good concept that I believe is possible to be applied in certain venues. It depends a lot on the venue itself, on the conditions. And if somebody has the possibility to do it, I think that we would appreciate that this is done. It should be an experience that we would like to engage with and see what can be the result. So, Nico, if you have this possibility in your territory, share with us the ideas, share your plan, and if there's something that we can do to support, we will evaluate that and we'll see how we can help. Mr. Alexander Steele, my friend. So, Alexander, you are asking, is the TV likely to request crane camera or wire-mounted overhead camera in order is the TV likely to, I'm going to read for everybody, is the TV likely to request crane camera or wire-mounted overhead camera in order to promote the game and give incredible images? If so, are we permitted to allow without referring back to a FIVB? Again, and that is one important split in terms of the responsibilities. The technical delegates, you are going to be working with the event manager, okay? So the event manager will be sharing with you this duty of seeing if the things are properly in place or not. But television will be part of this, first of all, part of our own team. So television will do the things according to the guidance of the central command here at the FIVB. And we are going to have, when you say wire-mounted overhead camera, for you to know, one of the 13 cameras we're going to have in every venue will be a high ceiling camera mounted right directly above the court and centered in the middle of the court, so that this camera will be used eventually for certain replays. It's going to be the first year that we are going to use this camera across the board. It has been used by some certain broadcasters before. It can provide a fantastic image from the top, because they are using a special angle lens that allows us to see the ball getting closer to the lens and then going back. But it's a camera that can also allow for commentators to talk about the movements of the players and the tactics in the game. It's not an easy camera. It's different. I myself, my experience tells me that viewers make some confusion because they need to understand the movement of the players from an angle that they are not used to. But the camera will also help us to create additional elements according to our branding. As you heard from Ana Sarafianou, the branding is all based on the ball movement. The VNL logo is based on the ball movement. And we have ideas like the gold medals that we are going to give to the winners of the VNL. They will have engraved the movement of the ball in the final point, or the movement of the ball in one of the best rallies, or if all the movement of the ball in the best rally or in the final point is not possible because it's too long, it will have the final movements of that specific point to be commemorated in the medal. So there are lots of communication material that we are preparing, that we are using this language in order to do something that only volleyball can do, in order to appropriate, in order to take control of a certain space in communication to the fans. And as Ana explained, this starts with the colors, but we have also our alphabet. We are creating different tools to allow fans to identify this is VNL, this is volleyball. Mr. Timba, he asks which type of camera is going to replace the crane camera. So the crane camera is a camera that is placed in the back of the court. We are going to have one high-end camera in the stands, which has always been used. The only thing that we are losing now that we don't have the crane camera is the movement that sometimes is possible to do with the crane camera, following the player from the serve and having the crane camera following the ball into play and then doing the whole rally from that angle. Again, basic principle in volleyball production, you never change from one camera to the other when the ball is already in play. So the crane camera, very few broadcasters are able today, because they don't have the professionals that are prepared to use this camera. Very few broadcasters are able today to do this movement and follow the rally in a proper way. And proper way means follow the rally in a way that people will not lose the ball. So there is a certain height of the camera, there's a certain movement that is necessary to do, there's a certain framing that is necessary to maintain in order for the viewer not to lose the action in case the ball goes suddenly in a certain direction. Because if the camera is framing in a very narrow way, the action one speech and another, the uniforms of the athletes have different numbers on the shirts. Is there a reason? I don't have a clue why, if there is a reason. I think it's accidental. We're talking about the slides here when we do between one speech and the other. It's Julia, I don't have the answer, but we will investigate. We can give that information to you later on. I think it's more related to the way we are conducting here the session. So as we don't have, Alan. Sold the rights to post it. So every territory that we have not signed off yet is due to certain specificities. We are working to find to finalize negotiations in basically all territories in the coming days. But negotiations are still going, and of course we are putting pressure on IMG, and IMG is also putting pressure on their salespeople. Solved. Japan is solved, Poland is solved. There are quite a bunch of broadcasters that we have already finalized, but I can still, unfortunately, affirm that we still have to sign with the majority of the broadcasters. It's partially we did not sign those agreements before because many things were still pending, and part of the difficulty is to create a new event and start from scratch. So I give you also an example about the future. We are trying to sell a package for 3 years to all these broadcasters. That was the target, is to close the Olympic cycle, selling the Volleyball Nations League for 18, 19, and 20. When the broadcasters ask, okay, where are the finals next year? We know the finals of the women's finals will be in China. We still have not defined the finals place for the men's competition. The place of the finals is critical for broadcasters. Otherwise, they cannot even know the time zone. They cannot even guess the starting time of the match. If they don't know the starting time of an event, how can they schedule that event in their programming grid? How can they sell to sponsors? So, again, we are in the start of a huge new process where for the first time FIVB is being able to identify one specific competition and is being able to define the calendar really ahead of time. We have been releasing in the past calendar for the World League and Grand Prix many times with changes taking place weeks before the event starts, sometimes 2 weeks before the event starts. And I think that the goal of the VNL is to put volleyball on track as a professional sport where more and more we are going to be able to provide broadcasters and sponsors with basic certainty about the events. Basic certainty means when will the event will take place, where it will take place, what time does it start. This is a critical information, and until we don't have that map finalized for 19 and 20, we're going to listen many questions coming from broadcasters and sponsors, because again, that's not what the top sports in the world do. They have ways to finalize their schedule really in advance. There is no final minute changes in their schedule, and that's how we believe that we also should offer our content to the market. So again, the specific questions to each individual country we can address about broadcasters if they want to know what the situation is. I would suggest that they address directly to our TV department, to Guido Betti, or to myself those questions, and I will make a call and I will give an update of where we are with the information that we have from IMG. No more questions here. I thank you very much for your attention and your interest, and most of all, I thank you for being part of this fascinating new project, and we count on you to deliver a very successful Volleyball Nations League very soon. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, what a moment this is it. It is time to meet producer extraordinaire, originally from Chicago. Now she calls the window seat of an airplane her home. Ladies and gentlemen, she was the producer at the #1 rated fan experience and sports entertainment venue at the Rio Olympic Games. Of course, that was volleyball at Maracanazinho. Now, the executive producer of sport presentation at the FIVB. Give it up for Miss Kelly Reed.
Thank you very much, Mark. Welcome. Welcome. As Mark had mentioned, Kelly Reed, Executive Director of Sports Presentation for the FIVB. So today I'm just going to talk a little bit about what sport presentation is and the elements that go into it, why we're doing it, and how that's going to be a little bit different this year and affect the competition and how it relates to you as the technical delegates. So first of all, I just kind of want to get into the basic definition of sport presentation. And it's pretty simple and pretty global. Sport presentation is really anything during the match that doesn't involve match play. So your pre-match rituals, introductions of the referees, anything between timeouts, even the challenge protocol by Hawkeye can be considered sport presentation. So there's really nothing outside of match play that we can't really touch or work with as far as sport presentation. The great moments, of course, I'm sure you're familiar with, the monster block, the super spike, anything really, all the protocol, it really all encompasses sport presentation. So we really have a really big, wide canvas to work with and a lot of things that where we're going to try to adjust and make great for this new branded VNL League. Couple of items that we use for sport presentation, something we call a toolkit, and items that we have at our disposal. And these tools are not limited by these categories at all. One thing that we're encouraging as far as the toolkit is for our newly hired producers to think out of the box and use anything that they can as part of their toolkit. Your obvious first priorities are your MC and your DJ. They're really going to be your first line of sport presentation. They're the most visible. They're the ones that you hear most clearly, and they're the ones that are going to provide and help most of the energy from the time that the doors open until the time that all the fans have left the arena. So your MC and your DJ are first and foremost going to be some very, very important elements. The giant screens that are going to show the matches. Those are, again, very central as a requirement this year and showing the broadcast feed along with the new broadcast integration that we're doing this year. The giant screens are an amazing tool not only to educate the fans but to entertain them. So we're going to use a combination of education, entertainment, engagement. The giant screens are a very big tool to showcase all of that in the arena and also from the broadcast perspective. Live entertainment, always a great tool to use as far as sport presentation. Dancers, mascots, on-court promotions and contests. Live entertainment, before the matches. Anything culturally, that you'd like to bring in can be considered live entertainment. It's an amazing fan engagement strategy as well. Of course, we've mentioned the great moments, the monster block, the super spike. Those are wonderful tools, but they're also educating on the sport. So while we're asking fans to celebrate the sport and celebrate those great moments that are actually in play, we're using them as entertainment as well to keep the fans engaged and help them to learn about the sport. The last one that's mentioned here, some of the lighting and special effects that some of the venues may have. Not every venue is going to have these because, dealing with 42 venues across the world, you're going to deal with different technical specs and requirements everywhere. But any lighting and special effects can also be used as part of sport entertainment. They were hugely, hugely helpful and very visible at the Rio Olympic Games, and I think it really helped our sport presentation in that venue. But like I said, these aren't the only items that can be used as sport presentation. As you've probably seen over the last 2 years, your staff. The sport presentation staff your volunteers, your ball kids, anybody that's really around the field of play, the court, is also a tool. You know, part of my job is pushing sport presentation forward and engaging, you know, be a part of the game. And as one is getting everybody involved. That means that the volunteers or, you know, your flag referees are also participating in these things and having fun. So don't forget, you know, all the staff and everybody, we're going to try to get everybody involved as much as possible. So I would be prepared for that. You know, monster blocking everywhere. So be a part of the game we're really going to focus on this year, but your staff and your people are a really good tool to do that. As I briefly mentioned, the objective of sports presentation, really twofold in the way that we see it, is to keep the fans engaged and mobilized, you know, with those tools that I mentioned, but also to educate them on the game. And we're trying to do the education in an entertaining way. A phrase that I've, you know, coined over the last couple of years is called edutainment, and it's not just throwing stats and numbers and the history of the game, you know, at the fans or the public. It's educating them in an entertaining way how to do that. And again, you can do that through video. You can do that through your MCs, you know, explaining those in a very entertaining way, as opposed to, again, just kind of, you know, throwing information at the fans. Why are we focusing on sport presentation? Rio, honestly, is the base of it. Rio 2016 is really kind of where it really came together. It happened, and it was really, really impactful for the media, for the viewers, for the sport, for the players. As you can see, the viewership was massive, 2.6 billion viewers for the sport of volleyball in Rio Olympics. It was amazing. The ticket, it was almost sold out every venue. The percentage of tickets sold was extremely high. It had the highest sport presentation ratings out of any arena in the Rio Olympics. So that was something a little bit unexpected, but it was one of the greatest honors to kind of have those ratings come back and find out that we were the highest rated amongst them. So we just changed the way, what we did in Rio, we just changed the way that the fans watched the game. They no longer sat on their hands and watched a match like a tennis match. They were engaged, they were standing, it was rowdy, they were holding up their flags, they were dancing. You know, we never let them sit down, it was never quiet, and we really changed the sport into, you know, entertainment and engagement as opposed to just coming in to watch a sport. So the fans had really great things to say, the media had great things to say. The one thing that we really wish we could have gone back on, that we're trying to build on, is the lack of TV time, essentially, that our sports presentation got. A lot of it was not put on media or on any of the broadcast feeds. So currently we're working with our new broadcast partners and really encouraging them to showcase our sport presentation and working hand in hand on protocol and timing and even some of these great moments and interactive elements, so that broadcast showcases what we're doing now with sport presentation. So now 6 nights a week around the world, everybody's going to see, you know, the monster blocking and the super spike and, you know, the starting 6 introductions and the wave and all the fan engagement things that we do. We're not going to be able to bring it to everybody, and that's a big thing that we've been working on, is to make sure that broadcast understands what we're doing and picks it up so that the fans outside that are not at the venues and not coming to the matches want to be there. So I believe it's going to be a really great venture this year, and it's going to help a lot with the sport and how people view the sport. Really quick, the breakdown of our sport presentation team this year, it's a little bit different than it has been in the past. So you'll see some different people on site. And we did this mainly for consistency purposes, so that all of our countries and all of our venues try to stay consistent with the new branding of sport presentation that we're trying to, you know, bring out with the VNL. So the structure on a very global level starts with the executive producer, which is myself, and Guido and the team here at the FIVB. And what we've done this year is we have hired an amazing team of producer supervisors. I want to say there's somewhere between 12 and 14 producer supervisors that we've hired from all over the world that are going to go all over the world. They're really going to be the supervisors on site and the watchdog for everything sport presentation related. So they're going to be the ones making sure that the protocol is integrated properly, that we're working with the TV producers and the timing and the protocol matches properly, that you know, all the MCs and the DJs are kind of following some of the vision and the branding that we're going for. Even the look of everything, you know, our graphics and how things are run on the giant screen and the courtside sponsor boards. So our producer supervisors are going to be a great addition. They're going to be one of your main contacts on site this year. We were kind of missing that layer last year, and it may have sometimes fallen on the event manager, sometimes fallen on the local supervisors, maybe sometimes I was there. But this year it's going to be much more standardized, and it's an amazing group of people. And you'll see each one of them. There's going to be somebody there at every single country. So they're going to be your main point of contact pretty much for anything on site. The MC and the DJ, as you heard our MC and DJ introduce me today, we are going to bring our FIVB MCs and DJs to the finals in France and China. So they will be with us. The team that was in Rio will also be with us at the finals this year. But we're also teaching and training the MCs and the DJs from different countries through workshops around the world how to play that style as well and how to announce in that style as well. So hopefully, as you go through the different countries and sites, you'll see some consistency in the MCs and the DJs. And then the last portion of our sport presentation team is the local sport presentation team. They're really going to be the ones kind of doing the work under our supervision. So they're going to be very important people as well. And these people are your producer, your MC, your DJ, the people that are actually operating the giant screen and working with the audio in the venue. So those are your people on the ground that are really going to be helping to kind of push buttons and make the sport presentation happen under our supervision. Again, as I mentioned, responsibilities of each one of these people. I'm not going to go over each one of these one by one, but globally speaking, I'm going to manage the sport presentation team from a global perspective. All the content and the concepts and the initial protocol, that's all going to be developed by me in coordination with Guido and his team here at the FIVB, and then disseminated to the producer supervisors to use during the competition. So I will be supervising them and working with them and doing things from a global perspective. Physically speaking, during the actual Vienna League, I will be going around to different countries to check in and make sure how things are going. And I'll hopefully try to stop in at the sites that I know are hosting quite a bit, you know, Bulgaria and Italy, some of the Asian markets, and also some of the markets that we know maybe aren't as up to snuff on some of the sport presentation aspects. So I'll be popping in and out throughout different countries throughout the league just to check how things are going. And in the end, we'll evaluate everything and evaluate the countries and you know, figure out for next year where the holes are, where the problems are, and kind of, you know, work to make it better and more consistent for year two. As I mentioned, your producer supervisors, they're the main point of contact on site. They're going to be buddies with the event manager. You will see them hopefully all the time, everywhere. They will be on the field of play, at the sport presentation table, working with the local presentation team, working with broadcast to set that clock, you know, when the match is supposed to start, helping out with floor management if that needs help. They're really going to manage everything that they can while they're on site there. So they're going to be your major point of contact for our discipline in our area. One thing I do want to ensure is that they are also, from a protocol standpoint, they're working with the local organizing committees to integrate the local cultural things, whether, you know, they have traditions, you know, or sponsor activations, or you know, special guests that they like to interview. They're going to kind of work with our producer supervisors, who are going to officially approve everything at the end, to integrate everything. So again, they'll be the last line of defense, so they'll know kind of what's going on at that point. Again, as I mentioned, the local sport presentation team, again, your producer, announcer, giant screen operators. And again, in some venues, you're also going to have entertainment and entertainment managers, field producers, talent. To what level each venue wants to go is going to be up to them. At the minimum requirements, though, they'll have the core team of the announcer, DJ, producer, and then the operations people for the technical playback. The referee clinics, you know, with regards to you as the technical delegates, I feel like are a pretty central and important thing. Our sport presentation, or our producer supervisors are going to be running these referee clinics. We're going to be rehearsing all day long on a very strict schedule from technical perspective and audio, running through great moments, going through challenge protocol and replay. So we're really going to rehearse and run through everything to make sure on site everything is run properly according to not only sport presentation but also protocol. So when we come to the referee clinics that are hosted the day before competition starts, everything should be ready to really run through for the final check. And that's where hopefully you'll be able to see everything come together and evaluate and make sure everything is running as it should. The referee clinics, we're also trying to standardize much more this year than I think maybe we've seen at different sites over the last couple years. We're going to start the clock at 35 on the clock and really run through the protocol as if it were a real match, running time, including warm-ups, including teaching the choreography of the monster block, including the national anthems with the flags, ball kids if they have them. So we're really going to run through all the protocol from A to Z to make sure everything is running as it should and everybody knows what they're doing for the first match. I don't want the first match to be the rehearsal. We should have everything locked and loaded and ready to go after our referee clinics finish up the day before competition. So at that point, the day before competition, I think would be one of the great times to make sure that the technical delegates and my sport presentation producer supervisors, make sure that everything is as it should be from a final check standpoint. So again, with the referee clinics, everything runs through in real time, and we play a game or two of a match, and we include all the sport presentation items. We'll run through the challenges, we'll run through the great moments, we'll try some things during timeouts. So it's really a run through of everything, including the matches as well, not just the protocol before it starts. So we should get a really good grasp of what we're dealing with on site as far as talent and technical capabilities and everything put together. So at the end of the day, hopefully everything is ready to roll for the first match the next day. Again, I just want to begin talk just a little bit more about the match protocol. Again, we are going to be providing, in case there's any discussion on site about who's writing, who's doing, who gets the approval, we internally are writing the protocol. We're doing that in conjunction with the competition department and the events department, and also the broadcast feed, and making sure that our run-up order syncs and that broadcast can showcase everything that we're doing, that all the timing matches up, and that the players and from the competition standpoint, that it works for the players with the warm-up times and the lineup times and the handshakes and things like that. So internally, we'll be developing the base skeleton of the protocol, and then again, we'll be working with the local organizing committees to start peppering in the other sport presentation elements. Whether it's contests or musical groups or whatever those kinds of things are. We'll kind of fill those in around the skeleton of the protocol. But again, the timing and things like that should not change. One thing to note on the protocol with the run-up for the 10 minutes, that broadcast is going to be live in our venue. They are really going to be integrating with us and truly live in the venue. They are going to be cueing us to take the MC and the DJ to welcome the fans around the world to the VNL, welcome them to Bulgaria, welcome them to wherever we are, which is something we've never done. So this is something new to be aware of. They're also going to be showcasing our national anthem, our referee introductions, and our starting six. So in previous years, that's really never been something showcased by TV before. So now all of those protocol and sport presentation related items are now going to be showcased on the broadcast forum. So again, it's really important that we are all in sync about making sure everything's consistent over every venue, everywhere, regardless of what they're used to in the past, as far as their own traditions and things like that. So really working very hard to make people understand this is the new league and this is how we're going to run this portion of it. And for the most part, that protocol portion is a little bit non-negotiable. So again, we'll work together on making sure that everybody from the local sport presentation team to the organizing committee, we all really understand that we're on the same page as far as the protocol goes. Again, we can adjust some of the timing based on the needs. Sometimes there's team photos, sometimes there's not. you know, back earlier in the pre-match, those things are easy to change, and where I think we're all pretty used to those. So things like that can be adjusted. We just need to make sure everything is communicated to the technical, you know, officials, to broadcast partners, to, you know, the teams and everything like that. But for the most part, those types of things aren't really going to change. Again, I think I've talked a little bit about, you know, working with the technical delegate and the referees. What I will say is prior to each match, and mainly this will go for the second match of the day, as far as timing and making sure that clock starts at the proper time. I know that sometimes last year there were troubles figuring out who was responsible for this when the official clock was supposed to start. Is it TV? Is it the sport competition director? So this year it's going to be one of our responsibilities to work with the TV producer on each site and work with the in-venue clock operators and technical, the referees and the technical delegates to make sure that that clock is started and synced with everybody. So that is part of the sport presentation element and our integration with broadcast, which is something that's new. So all in all, you know, I think we're technically staying the same but changing, if that makes any sense. Trying to rebrand and make things new with the VNL, but keep some of the tradition that we had in Rio that we want to keep moving forward. So we're all very, very excited, you know, about this new venture and the new league. It is year one, and we're going to learn a lot. And any feedback from your perspective, you know, just from country to country, you know, please, if you have something to, you know, good, bad, otherwise, make sure to relay to the producer supervisor on site or to me directly. I think everybody at this point should have my contact information. So even as the tournament goes on and things are moving along, or if they need to change for whatever reason, or if there's problems that need to be, you know, looked at, so there should be an open door of communication from your discipline, you know, to ours, so that we can make sure we're running things as best we can, but also within, you know, the guidelines of what we're trying to do. So as far as sport presentation, I think that kind of wraps up my session. I'm currently not available for a Q&A session. We are on the road at this point to Thailand to teach another workshop to all of our Asian federations and teach them all how to monster block and super spike. But if you want, you can either email myself or the sports events email any questions, and we'll make sure to get back to you with any questions or concerns that you may have. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all this summer at the VNL. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. This is Yonanch. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. So I will be presenting the part about the duties of the technical delegates and the tools to perform these duties. So just for your information, I will be mostly speaking about the duties in general, and I will not go in details of each tool one by one, since we have limited time. We can say that a typical competition can be divided into these 4 phases that you can see on your screens. Of course, the arrival day and the number of match days may vary due to the type of competition. However, we will be focusing on a typical VNL round-robin phase event right now. As you can see, these phases are the pre-competition, arrival at competition site, match days, and after the end of the last match. Of course, all phases are equally important. Nevertheless, to have a smooth running, especially during the match, it is vitally important that you pay utmost attention to pre-competition and arrival at the competition venue phases, which are the first 2 phases of the 4 phases that we have. So in general, the most important tool for all VNL stakeholders is the VNL handbook, of course. And we expect from you to refer to this handbook for all cases, especially for your duties, for the duties of the technical delegate. So for each competition, naturally, everything starts with receiving the nomination on the VIS, of course. So once your assignment is confirmed in accordance with your availability, you will need to prepare for your travel and for the competition. So these are your 2 main duties before traveling to the competition site. So while you are fulfilling necessities for your travel, such as the visa and your flight ticket, which is provided by the FIVB, you are also required to follow up the preparations for your competition on various online platforms, such as the DAM platform, the VIS platform, and the online master plan platform. They collaborate, and you should stay tuned with the documents of the VNL competition and the FIVB event regulations. So upon arrival to the competition venue, you will need to perform an extensive inspection visit at the competition hall. So you will have the items to be checked during this inspection in the VNL Handbook Chapter 5, and we will make available the technical delegate checklist very soon. So this checklist will be based on the items to be controlled during the initial inspection visit upon arrival. So conducting this inspection upon arrival and follow-up on the open points are equally important. Means that if there is something not fulfilled during the inspection, you should push organizers to realize it as soon as possible. So let's say there is something missing, such as substitution pedals and so on, during your initial inspection. You should be taking notes of this, and you should follow this with the organizers and make sure that they provide this before the competition starts. Just for your information, I would like to inform you about a change that we have for this year, which is that we will not be having any hanged flags within the VNL competition halls this year. As you know, traditionally we used to have the participating national team flags and the FIV flag plus the competition flag inside the competition hall, but this is not the case for this year. However, the flags for the national anthems stay the same, which are being held by the ball retrievers during the national anthems before the start of the match. So we also ask you to pay attention to the training halls, the warming up areas inside the competition hall, also the transportation vehicles and hotels, in order to provide best possible conditions for all participants, especially for the athletes, of course. So during the round-robin phase of the VNL, a referee delegate will not be present So that's why we need your help on assuming some referee-related issues. These items are listed within the VNL Handbook, Chapter 5. So the most essential duty to be handled on behalf of the referee delegate is the referee clinic, of course. So this referee clinic should be conducted with the help of international referees. If possible, -1 day. If not possible, -2 days before the event. So, of course, technical delegate will also have the responsibility of coordinating alignment meetings with other FIVB officials on site. We already received some questions about this item. Of course, these meetings shall be held in accordance with the actual situation of the event with necessary frequency. So you should be deciding on a case-by-case scenario. However, we strongly recommend you to follow the activity schedule, which we have in the VNL handbook. But of course, it is up to you to decide the frequency of these alignment meetings, of these coordination meetings. So you may either choose to have it on a daily basis or once every 2 days. So this is completely up to you. So another important duty of the technical delegate is conducting the preliminary inquiry, of course. So this should happen 2 days before the matches. Please make sure that each team receives the invitation for the preliminary inquiry, and the organizers are making necessary preparation for this meeting. So it is very important, of course, for the teams to know when and where the preliminary inquiry will be taking place. So for the participants of this meeting and the items to be checked during the preliminary inquiry, please, we kindly ask you to refer to the Chapter 5 of the VNL Handbook, since we will not go into details now, as I mentioned before. So moving on to the next step, which is the phase before each match. As mentioned before, the pre-match days efforts are quite important to have a hassle-free match period, non-problematic competition period. So before each match, please ensure that all required equipment and personnel are present at the competition hall. We also ask you to make sure that everything is ready for e-score sheet and data volley, as the fans around the world will follow the live score of the competition provided through these platforms. And referees' pre-match alcohol test should also be conducted by the technical delegate, where referee delegate is not present, which is the case for the VNL round-robin phase. So we kindly ask you to take responsibility about this item to be done before the start of the match. So you will also be required to decide the starting time of the second match in case of a delay due to the first game running long. Excuse me. And this has to be done in coordination with the SPR team and with other FIVB officials on site, of course. Moving forward, during each match, you have the duty of filling the match result report form, the O4 form. So this should be completed by the technical delegate manually, as usual. And you will need to double check the manually filled form with the form that is done by the e-score sheet and the VIS at the end of the match. And it is also substantial that you check the live score and the team officials' dress code during the match, since they really need to follow the uniformity on the bench. And of course, live score is essential for the communication of the event. At the end of the match, you have to verify that all forms are correctly uploaded on FIVB FTP, which will allow proper communication on VNL website. As you know, as the match runs, there are several forms being generated by the VIS. So these forms has to be uploaded on the FIVB FTP server in order to have the correct results and the correct rankings on the FIVB website, which we communicate everything to the public. And several documents are also to be collected, to be sent to the FIVB at the end of the event, and of course to be included in the daily bulletin. We also need your assistance to coordinate any anti-doping control, especially during the VNL round-robin phase where we do not have a medical delegate assigned. And last but not least, after the end of the last match, FIVB technical delegate should file his or her report, and this duty has to be fulfilled using the online FIVB technical delegate report. So this wraps up the part of this webinar. So please feel free to type your questions in the comment box. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you. Hello again. So we have some questions. The first question from Alan. Can you provide further information on the structure and script for this and the roles, responsibilities of the different parties? Yes, basically these roles and responsibilities are defined within the 5th chapter of the VNL handbook, which was made available today. So we please ask you to check this chapter, which is on the DEM platform right now. And if you have any further questions, of course, we will be happy to help you. But the information I can give you right now is that in this chapter, the roles and responsibilities of each FIVB official and the field of play service provider is detailed. Question 2 from Nico. Thank you for the question. So the data bulletin should be in paper copies or digital. Of course, we prefer the digital version, which is sent by emails, and of course to save papers. But of course, this depends on the realities on the competition side. To name the internet connection availability at the team's hotel, because basically these data bulletins are intended for the participating teams, also for the officials, of course, but we must make sure that they have a proper internet connection at their hotels and they can reach their emails to see the data bulletin. So question number 3 from Elena. Thank you very much. Data bulletin has to be produced after each competition day or only the last day? So the answer is that we prefer that the data bulletin should be produced after each competition day, not only the last day. And of course, as mentioned before, you can just distribute the data bulletin using the emails. Question number 4 from Mikhail. In Sport Hall, will not the flags of all participating teams and flags of FIVB and VNL across main camera? No. So this is a change from previous years. There will be no flags inside the competition hall, but as mentioned before during my presentation, we will keep the flags for the national anthems, which are held by the ball retrievers just in front of the teams, but no hanged flags inside the competition hall. So this is cancelled for the VNL. Question 5, Yelena, what paper forms have to be sent to the FIVB? Basically, we can say that the forms that are generated by the VIS, and of course the score sheets and the technical delegate initial inspection report, the checklist, has to be sent to the FIVB. The O4 forms that you manually fill during the competition, and the score sheets I already mentioned, and also the challenge system report. And in addition to those, if you prepare any data bulletin in hard copy, you are also welcome to send a copy of the data bulletin as well. Question 6 from Paula. We would like to confirm if there will be flags hung on site or not. I think I already confirmed this. So there will be not any hanged flags inside the competition hall. So these are the questions until now. If you have any more questions, feel free to type. So we will be answering those questions in the near future. Thank you very much once again for your participation, and have a good day.
Is anyone else?
Okay. Hello, everybody again. Sorry for making you wait. We just had to do a little installation with our technology. So last point of the day. Thank you all for following us and making it through the whole afternoon. So point 9, reporting. So reporting, we have created a new FIVB technical delegate report for the VNL specially, which we will ask you to complete online. So on the slide you are seeing now, there is the link at the bottom, surveygizmo.com, and we will ask you by the end of the competition to fill in your technical delegate report. Not when you are home or 2 weeks later, but by the end of the competition. We need those details. Please take time to fill in this report and complete it with the most accurate details. This link will also be available through the Collaborate platform, which I will present to you in a few seconds. Moving on to the forms. So the most needed forms available on the FIVB website under Volleyball and Forms, where we have, with the help of some technical delegates, updated those forms. And here there is the 01 with the choice of uniform colors, the 03 with training schedule. We still have left it in the website, even though most of it is used through the handbook, and the 07, which is the preliminary inquiry. So all those forms are available in the FIVB website. And now, moving on to the DAM platform, and I will pass over to Nick Hyatt from the FIVB Technology and Innovation Department, who will do a live demo and take you through the DAM platform, explaining where you can find the VNL branding kit and the VNL handbook for the future.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for your time. What I'll quickly do is just introduce to you the concept of the digital asset management platform for your own knowledge. So the FIVB has partnered with a company called Canto Flight. It's an American-based company. So as you can see in the URL there, it's fivb.cantoflight.com. So when you have received an email from the platform, it will go straight to your email asking you to ensure that you register your account, at which point you'll be asked to enter your own password. If you've forgotten your password after doing so, there is a forgotten password button on the login page, as you can see on your screen right now. So what I will do is I'm going to log in with a user who will have similar rights to yourself, which is a user who can download all the assets that are required for their job at hand. So you simply type in your username, password, click or login or select enter. What you just saw there is a pop-up box which would allow you to navigate to what we call portals and or workspaces. As mentioned, most users in this situation are going to be entering into portals, and portals are what we use to distribute assets for download capacity only. So with the pop-up screen that you see in front of you, you have the ability to choose the initial portal in which you enter. So here I'm logged in as a user or a host organizer from Argentina. We have a portal for every single host organizer, can I say, and you also have FIVB Material and Volleyball Nations League. What I'd like to add is that very briefly after this presentation, hopefully by the end of the day, you'll have another folder available to you in the FIVB Material section, which is where you will be able to retrieve the user manual and also a number of videos that can help you navigate through the system. I'd like to just place this caveat at this moment to say that the user manual will be updated regularly, and hopefully we'll be able to notify you via notifications from the platform to your email. So without further ado, what I'll do is I will select my portal by left-clicking, at which point you then need to click the Submit button on the bottom right-hand of the pop-up screen, and this will take you through to that portal. So each portal is designed pretty much exactly the same in terms of the format. That dark blue and light blue ribbon at the top with the search bar functionality and your avatar on the top right-hand corner, which I'm navigating to right now. Hovering over this and changing your profile, learning a bit more about what the DAM is on the About Us section, and you can also exit, sign out from the platform here. From the left-hand side, this is where you're going to be spending most of your time. But before I go through that, I guess it's worth just pointing out what you're seeing in front of you right now, which is all of the most recent files that have been uploaded in chronological order. So as you scroll through, you'll be able to see that there's plenty of files in this home section. But to drill down to the exact area that you need to go to, you can go over to the left-hand side. As Kim mentioned, you might want to go to the marketing plan, to the branding kit, and in here you're going to start finding all sorts of different types of documents. The competition guidelines might not be uploaded into this portal right now, but it's something that we'll make sure is available. Can I please ask that if anybody is experiencing any problems, that you get in touch with the volleyball events department, and what we'll do on our side is ensure that all of the assets that you need are provided to you as soon as possible. So yes, it's a growing platform and an evolving project, so bear with us on this, but we're trying to get as much information to you as possible. So again, you've got training material here. You just simply need to navigate through. Here is, in fact, the user manual. By clicking on this, you'll see a very descriptive naming convention, which some of you might be familiar with, which is on the right-hand side. If you need to see more information in terms of detail about this document, you can click on this little drop-down box. So here you'll see if there's any previous comments, etc. But really, I think what you're all most focused on is downloading the asset. So once you've downloaded it, I've done that prior to this presentation. This is what it would look like on a web browser. But of course, you can download it to your local drive. And then the user manual, as I say, this is going to be updated. Right now, we're on version 3. And what's, just to kind of give you an idea as to what we're talking about here, we've created a lot of high-level overviews into the description of the platform. And again, if anything that is key that we change in the user manual, we'll make it very obvious to you and apparent. Okay? But if anyone is struggling with the terminology, on page 3 there is a common narrative page just explaining what we're talking about when we refer to things like portals and such. If you have an opportunity to navigate between multiple portals, as you saw when we logged in, that pop-up box presented us 3 options. You can choose one portal, as we have done, which, just to remind you, we're in a portal for the event host organizer Argentina. You can go down to this section here called Portals. You can left-click, and then you can see the other portals that are available to you. So by simply clicking on one here, it opens up into a new tab. Your existing tab that you just navigated from is still available, and if you want to, of course, you can close that without logging yourself out. So here you'll see that there's more FIVB-specific material, and we can just see what's in the competition plan, for example. And there you are. So if you need to find the competition plan for the VNL, this is where you want to go, to the FIVB material and into the portal itself, and then you'll navigate through the competition plan section and into what we call an album to retrieve that. Once again, if you feel like going back, you can either click on portals and select one here, and if you've already got your tab open, of course, you can just flick between the tabs. So with that note, I'm going to hand back over to Kim, who's going to introduce you to the Collaborate project platform. So thank you for your attention, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Okay, thank you very much, Nick. So it's Kim back here. So I'm just now going to take you to the FIVB Collaborate platform. I won't take too much time on it so you don't get scared of all those explanations to access the platform. So here you can see the FIVB, which is myfivb.com/collaborate/public to get to this page. So we will send you access on due time. And here I will just put my password. Okay, so here they are. So that's the landing page when you will be logging to your Collaborate platform. Some of you may already know it since you are already commission members. So this is the landing page. Of course, I am part of many projects. Excuse me. So I have more information on there, but we will keep it simple and clear for you. So here on the left, let me just see here. So on the left you have different icons, which is the home screen where we are here. You can see here all the people that have access to this platform, and then your project. So accessing your project, you will simply click on it, and you will find the projects you are part of. I'm going to take you now to the volleyball events master plan, where we will have this project existing for every pools of the VNL. You will not, of course, be part of all the project, but only of the project for the pool that you have been assigned for. So here you can see there will be a very small description on the right. It will tell you which master plan, which week, and which gender of the VNLE will be. And at the bottom, you will have the name of the people that are part of the project, including different departments of the FIVB, the project leader from volleyball events, and you as a technical delegate, the referees, and also IMG, etc. So all those people will have access to see exactly where is the project at and to get notification for the tasks they will have to do. Up top here you have different labels as well. I will take you to the one called tasks, which you will have access to as well. You can organize those tasks per category, but also by milestone. By milestone, all our events at volleyball events are organized this way. Here you can see all the different plans from candidature, workshop, technology, security accreditation, medical, etc. And when I was telling you that your report will be available in Collaborate, you will find it under here where you have the post-event technical report. So whenever you will have access to this plan, you will see all the different areas. Some of them you will not be assigned, and some of them you will be assigned. And you will see here, for example, post-event technical report. The project leader will be assigned to it. Okay. Sorry. And there will be the description of the task and the subtask. The subtask can be also, we will make it clear with the exact deadline, the due date, and also who's the assignee. So for example, I will be, for example, the one to provide you the template, and I will assign you here technical supervisor or technical delegate to complete it by X date. So you will then receive a notification by email to make sure that you fill it in. And then you can always put a comment to say, I have answered the report at this date, I hope you received it, or etc. And then the good thing with this is that all the messages shared through this platform will keep transparency, meaning you will have put a message here, I will be able to see it, but also the rest of my team will be able to see it, and IMG and other delegates, etc. So this is to avoid too many emails, but also to keep transparency on this event, on this project. And which is good also is that we could keep this old document and content for future years to improve the whole mastering plan for the organization of our events. So I won't go too much into details. You will get the access to those master plans on due time. We are still working on the template. And as soon as you will have access, you will get notification. And we are here also as Sport Events available to help you in case you have any question. So now we got to the end of this seminar. And I would like to thank you, all of you again, for taking the time to attend this second session. You will receive an email by the end of the day with a survey, like for session 1. Take the time to give us your feedback, your comments, your suggestion. As I told you last time, this is innovation for us at the FIVB to run a webinar. And any comments and feedbacks are always welcome to improve and hopefully to run more webinars in the future. We are currently as well working on the video recap from the session 1 and 2, which we will give you access through our e-learning platform in the coming weeks. So you could all access the content again in case you want to refresh your mind before your assignments, or just to look through again in case you have missed some parts of it. All the VNL assignments are now inserted in the VIS system. Some of you haven't accepted those nominations yet, so please take the time to accept them. All of you must have received your flight tickets already for your assignments. So please make sure that you have your e-ticket in your mailbox, otherwise come back to me, so I will talk with the travel agency. And coming back to VIS, make sure that all of you update your emails, bank details, airport, so it avoids us to look for you, to send emails to the wrong address, and also to transfer your per diem to the wrong bank account. So this, it's very important for us, for you to just take a few minutes to update your VIS profile, so we avoid making mistake and wasting time. Again, I would like to thank you all on behalf of FIVB and the Volleyball Events Department for following us. We are always available through email at sportsevents@fivb.org for any additional questions, or you can call us at the FIVB as well. We're happy to talk to you and to answer to all the questions. As Alice mentioned today, we are always here to help you during the event, prior to the event, or after, and don't hesitate to contact us for any inquiry. Thank you all again, and enjoy the rest of your day.